Կողմի կենտրոնական վարչության, շրջանային վարչության և Roubina մասնաճյուղի վարչության ընկերուհիներ, հարգելի փանախոս Rita Karakasյան, սիրելի ներկաներ, Հայ օգնության միության Թորոնտոյի Roubina մասնաճյուղի վարչության և միջազգային կանանց օրվա հանձնախումբի անունով Փարիքալուստ կմաղթեմ ցեզի կանանց միջազգային օրվա նվիրված այս տոնակատարության։ Անունս Լորի Սարգսյան է և ես ու Մեղեդի Խոդավերդյանը հաջույքն ու բադիվը ունենք այսօրվա ծեր հանդիսավարները ըլլալու։
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Rita Karakas, Council Shelley Carroll, and distinguished guests. We would like to welcome you to the Armenian Relief Society Toronto Roubina Chapter's 3rd annual celebration of International Women's Day. We are proud to present you this year's theme of Connecting Girls and Inspiring Futures. My name is Meheti Khodaverchian, and my co-MC, Lori Sarkisyan, and I are thrilled to be your Masters of Ceremony this afternoon. During the course of this afternoon, we will be addressing you in both English and Armenian.
Իր 100-ամյակը նոր փոլորած Հայ օգնության միությունը հիմնվեցավ Նյու Յորքի մեջ 1910 թվին Հայ Գարմիր խաչ անվան տակ։ Ան ծնունդ առավ հայ ժողովրդի ասկային և փարեսիրական մտահոգություններեն։ Ծնունդ առավ օգնության ցերք երկարելու հայուն ու հասնելու համար անոր կարիքներուն։ Հայ օգնության միությունը հայ կյանքի մեջ ամենեն ծավալուն և ամենեն ժողովրդական կանանցի կազմակերպությունն է։ Մեծ կազմակերպությունը, որի բազմահազար անդամուհիներուն նվիրումի և ծառայության ըսկանչելի ոգիով զինված, օգնության կհասնի ձերունիին և անօգնականին, հիվանդին և չքավորին, ուսման ծարավը ունեցող հայ մանուկին և բոլոր անոնց, որոնք կարոդը ունին անոր օգնության։ Այսօր 27 երկրներու մեջ գործող իր միավորներով և տասնյակ հազար անդամներով հոմը որպես անկախ, համահայկական, փարեսիրական և մարդասիրական միություն կծառայե ամենուրեք, հասնելով հայ ժողովրդի ուսումնական, ընկերային ու մշակութային կարիքներուն։ Հոմը իբրև միջազգային կազմակերպություն մոդեն կհետևի ոչ միայն հայությունը, այլև միջազգային համայնքը հուզող ընկերային և փարեսիրական հարցերուն և տագնապներուն։ Ինչպես անցյալին, այսօր ևս հոմը կշարունակե իր կրթական, դաստիարակչական ու մշակութային ծրագիրները գործադրել մանկապարտեզներով, ամառնային ճամփարներով, վարժարաններով և գրթաթոշակներով։ Զուգահեռաբար ան կսադարե իր անդամներու ինքնազարգացման, զանոնք ներգրավելով հասարակական աշխատանքներու մեջ և մղելով գործակցելու հայ թե օտար համանման նպատակներ հետապնդող միություններու հետ։ 1970 թվականին ի վեր Հայ օգնության միությունը սերտորեն կգործակցի Միացյալ Ազգերու կազմակերպության հետ և որպես տնտեսական ու ընկերային հանձնաժողովի անդամ ու միջազգային մակարդակով գործունյա ոչ կառավարական կազմակերպություն, ան կմնա չադակովը մարդկային իրավունքներու, ընկերային արդարության ու քաղաքակիրթ հասարակության իրականացման։
Today's event is hosted by the Armenian Relief Society. The ARS is an independent, non-governmental organization recognized by the United Nations. It seeks to preserve the cultural identity of the Armenian nation and brings humanitarian help wherever the need arises to all communities in distress. More locally, the Toronto chapter continually sends financial and volunteer support to the Hospital for Sick Children, local food banks, nursing homes, and long-term care facilities. It has been noted to have raised significant funds in 2009 for the Canadian Cancer Society's annual Daffodil Drive. The ARS is a strong advocate of human rights, social justice, and civil society around the world. Over the past century, this international women's organization has contributed to the empowerment of women while supporting their developmental and social needs. We would like to dedicate this International Women's Day event to all the women who have and continue to tirelessly work to support the ARS mission.
1910 թվականին Դիգին Քլերա Զետկնի առաջարկով ծնունդ առավ Գանանց միջազգային օրվա դոնագադարությունը։ Գանանց միջազգային օրը ամեն տարի կնշվի մարտ 8-ին ու կդոնվի աշխարհի 4 կողմը։ Այս տարի Գանանց միջազգային օրվա թեման է շաղգաբել գիները եւ ներշնչել աբական։ Հայաստանի մեջ մարտ 8-ը կնշվեր իբր գիներու միջազգային օր սովետական օրերեն։ Անկախութենեն ետք անիգա փոխարինվեցավ ապրիլի 7-ով, որ մայրության եւ քեղեցկության օր հռչակվեցավ։ Սակայն ժողովուրդը շարունակեց նշել նաեւ մարտ 8-ը։ Այս երկու կնոջական դոներու արգայությունը բաժար դարձավ, որ մարտ 8-ին ապրիլ 7-ը տարածվող ժամանակամիջոցը պաշտոնապես հռչակվի որպես կնոջական ամիս։ Այս տոնը գործակցության միջոց եղած է կանանց իրավունքները պաշտպանելու եւ քննադատելու անոնց տարած աշխատանքը։
International Women's Day is celebrated annually on March 8th as a day acknowledging and giving homage to the economic, political, and social achievements of women in the past, present, and future. Born at a time of great social turbulence and crisis, International Women's Day inherited a tradition of protest and political activism. In 1910, Clara Zetkin, the leader of the Women's Office for the Social Democratic Party of Germany, proposed the idea of International Women's Day at the International Conference of Working Women in Copenhagen. Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to draw your attention to a video presentation highlighting the work of 5 talented and inspirational female entrepreneurs. Suzanne Keshkarian, interior designer, Gasia Maljian, makeup artist, Tina Iquinta, personal concierge, Lisa Tashtian, graphic artist, Armine Tumanyan, designer and artist from Armenia.
Թուք մոդորեն պիտի ծանոթանաք տիգին Սյուզան Քոշկերյանին, որը սեփականատերն է Սյուզարդ հաստատության, տիգին Թինա Այքվինտային, որը հատուկ օգնականուհի է, օրիորդ Կասիա Մալջյանին, որը թիմահարդար է, օրիորդ Լիսա Թաշչյանին, որը քծակիդության արվեստագետուհի է, եւ տիգին Արմինե Թումանյանին Հայաստանեն, որը քեղանկարչուհի է։
Okay, thank you so much to all our entrepreneurs for their involvement and hard work. If I can have your attention for a moment, I would like to read a greeting from Minister Laurel Brodin, the Minister responsible for women's issues in Ontario. I am pleased to extend warm greetings to the Armenian Relief Society as you mark International Women's Day 2012. Today you celebrate the achievements of women everywhere and commemorate women who have guided us in our own lives. As the minister responsible for women's issues, I am delighted to see the strides that have been made by so many women across Ontario. This progress is reflected at the community level and through organizations like the Armenian Relief Society, who have supported women and their families over many years. Ontario is filled with accomplished women whose voices have affected change and improved women's lives. Your work continues to help women move forward and succeed. Today, I urge you to pause and celebrate the important contributions and entrepreneurial talent in your community. Ontario needs their ideas, their passion, and their energy. And young women in our communities need success stories and role models to follow. Our government believes stronger women mean a stronger Ontario. Whether it is working together to reduce poverty or helping women achieve economic security, together we can work to support the potential of all women. I want to extend my best wishes to the Armenian Relief Society for your efforts to encourage women to be the best they can be. Yours truly, Laurel Broughton, the Minister responsible for women's issues. And now I would like to invite Shelley Carroll, City Councillor for Ward 33, Don Valley East, and a very good friend of the Armenian Community Center, to say a few words.
Thank you. Good day, and welcome to Don Valley East. I am honored to be called a very good friend of the Armenian community in our neighborhood, but especially the ARS. And I'm having a very busy day. I'm not dressed all the way for a fashion show. I have blue jeans on. I'll tell you why. I was just speaking to your honored guest today, Ms. Karakas. Welcome to our neighborhood. Welcome to the room where I had my wedding reception. That's how stuck in I am in Don Valley East. I just wanted to quickly say what I shared with your speaker. I've never had a weekend where International Women's Day generated so many events in our community. I went to 3 yesterday, and if I include this one today, there will be 4. 7 altogether this weekend. And it's, I think, because we're in similar times to those when International Women's Day was created. There's somewhat turbulent times in our community. And so there are a lot of issues that women are saying, and today is our day. So today we will speak to that issue through a woman lens. And I think that is very special. I'll meet today with women who are dealing with the issue of whether or not we sell our single-family social housing units. They think that we shouldn't, but they want to discuss why through a woman's lens. I'll be meeting with women who work very hard in the transit system, and they want to talk about transit in Toronto, but through a woman lens. And I think that's the most important way to look at it, because while our struggle has been long, our struggle for equity, it's because it's a struggle for equity that it takes long. It's not really born out of anger. We're not saying we want to take the dollars out of someone else's pocket and take the food out of some other family's mouth to achieve equity. We're really saying we just want to achieve equity. And we want to be a part of whatever the decisions are going forward for those things in which we take part. It should come as no surprise that women want to organize around transit issues. They are the rider. They're disproportionately represented. They are the rider because they look for the most practical ways to move their family about the community. They are the dweller in social housing. That's part of the struggle in equity. But they say, as they're moving forward, I need to do better. I want more opportunities. But it is taking a long time because we look at it in a special way, so we're not saying, and to achieve my equity, I need to see somebody else doing more poorly with their family, having fewer dollars. I want to snatch them from someone else. I also think we're all a little more intelligent. We know that if you snatch the dollars out of someone else's pocket, they often don't show up in yours. They float off somewhere else. And so we look at ways to discuss and to build a knowledge that we all contribute to the economy, that we are major players in it, and so we should be helping to design it through entrepreneurial activities or through cooperative work. And I think it's our approach that will drive us there. So we ought to celebrate it not only this day, but every day, and we ought to remind people of it every day. Thank you for gathering today, and I hope you take it forward every day for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carroll, for being with us here today. Այժմ հաջողքը ունիմ ցեզի ներկայացնելու մեր այսօրվա հանդիսության փանախոս Rita Karakasյանը։ Ան գլխավոր եւ կորզաթիր կորձընկերն է RSK Associates Inc. միջազգային հաստատության, որը կսպաղի ոչ կառավարական գազམ་ագերբություններու ռազմավարական խորհրդատվությամբ։ Ներկայիս Rita Karakasյանը երեց խորհրդատուն է Macdonald-Laurier Institute-ի Corporate Affairs and Business Development բաժնին։ Այս հաստատությունը դաշնակցային կառավարության Կանադայի ոչ կուսակցային գլխավոր հետախուզական կենտրոններն մեկն է։ Անհաջողած գործարար մնե, որ ավելի քան 20 տարվա փորձառություն ունի թե հանրային եւ թե անհատական հատվածներն ներս եւ մասնակցած է գազագերբչական զարգացման, փոփոխություններու ռազմավարության, գադարողության արժևորման, հոգապարծման կառավարման, տրամահավաքի, շուգայագիտության եւ հաղորդակցության մեջ։ Rita Karakasyan բադգարելի փորձառություն ունի որպես վճռական եւ խղճամիտ երեց գործադիր եւ բացահայտած է կարողություն շարունակական եւ դեսանելի փոփոխություններու ցերկերման մեջ The United Way Centraid Canada-ի, YWCA of Canada-ի, TV Ontario-ի եւ Oxfam Great Britain-ի մեջ։ Անաշխատած է նաեւ միջազգային գազագերբություններու հետ, ինչպիսին են միջազգային Գարմիր խաչը եւ Գարմիր մահիգը, ավստրալիական կառավարության փնիկներու խորհուրդը, Oxfam Australia, Oxfam Quebec եւ Oxfam International։ Rita Karakasyan-ը 2003-ին 2007 թվականներուն եղած է Save the Children Canada-ի գլխավոր գործադիր դնորենը եւ փորձված մասնակետ է գայուն ռազմավարական քաղաքականություն մշակելու, միջազգային ծրագիրներ զարգացնելու եւ հարաբերությանց մեջ։
It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, Ms. Rita Karakas. Ms. Rita Karakas is the principal and managing partner of RSK Associates, an international strategic management advisory practice specializing in non-governmental organizations. As of January 2012, Ms. Karakas is the Senior Advisor, Corporate Affairs and Business Development at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute, Canada's preeminent nonpartisan policy think tank dealing with policy at the federal level. A successful entrepreneur with over 20 years of global experience in both public and private sectors, Ms. Karakas is an expert in organizational development, strategic change management, performance management systems, board management and governance, fundraising, and marketing and communications. Ms. Karakas has a substantive track record as a determined and conscientious senior executive and has demonstrated her ability to bring about continual and recognizable transformation at the United Way Centraid Canada, YWCA of Canada, TV Ontario, and Oxfam Great Britain. She has worked extensively with global clients such as the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the Australian government's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island Council, Oxfam Australia, Oxfam Quebec, and Oxfam International. Ms. Karakas is the former CEO of Save the Children Canada. She has considerable expertise and proven specialization in developing solid strategies for policy development, advocacy, international program development, and communications. It is truly my honor to invite Ms. Rita Karakas to the podium to deliver her speech.
Good afternoon, ladies. I love listening to the press releases that people write. It's wonderful. Շատ հբարդորեն եւ շատ երջանիկ բանանով ցեզի եմ ասոր շատ աստված եւ հուզված որ ինձ հրավիրեցիք եւ հարգեցիք ձեր հրավիրությունով իսկապես թանկագին օր մնա ինձ համար եւ հուզված եմ You can hear from my voice that this is a very touching and amazing moment for me. I was here last year to listen to Armine, who I adore and admire, and who now is in a competitive institute. She of the left, mine of the right. And of course, following Ani Kabuk. These are honorable and impressive women. But most importantly, I was so struck by the professionalism, the exuberance, the absolute energy in the room last year, and I wanted to come back. I didn't want to come back as a keynote speaker, but I want to thank Tenny, my friends at the AFSS, my gang of Armenian sisters who I guess lobbied or encouraged or whatever. So I'm very honored to be with you. I'm also very humbled. It's not often. Now you can't keep applauding. The power of my presentation is going to run out. It's not often that I get to speak to my own sisters. I have chosen not to be actively engaged in the Armenian community. It's been a very difficult choice. So it is a double honor to speak to my sisterhood. I have an Armenian sisterhood. They're sitting over there. This is my Yaya Club or whatever we call them, and I'm honored you're here. They're my family. I have some Canadian friends sitting over there, which is really great. People I haven't seen in a long time. People I know from Ottawa going back, well, how many years? The first Mulroney era. Thank you. So it's very humbling to be with you. Իսկապես, եթե այսօր հայրիկս եւ մայրիկս ողջ չլային, որ երկուքի կամահացան, գարձեմ թե պիտի ասեին, որ հբարդ եմ աղջիկս։ Հայրիկս ինձ մանչ աղջիկ գսեր։ Եվ ադիգա պիտի հասկնաք, որ գյանքիս սկիզբեն մինչև վերջը, ադիգա հետս պիտի գրեմ, մանչ աղջիկ նույն երկու իմաստ ունի, մեմը հբարդ եմ, մեմը նա պիտի զայր մինա գսել, որ աֆերիմ աղջիկս իբր աղջիկը լալու եւ մանչ փարը պետք չլարավեցներ. Just a quick note. I am a very proud and long-standing feminist with a low F and a capital F and whatever else. My approach to it has been just do it, let them wonder what you're doing, then explain to them what it is that you're doing. So I don't believe in burning anything, but I do believe in women as entities, not as mothers, not as sisters, not as daughters, not as chattel, not as servants, but as persons in their own individual right. And you know, it took us a long time to become that in Canada. There are people still alive today when that first happened, and there are parts of the world there is still that not the case. So I just want to dedicate this to all of you, to my parents, and to the over 32 million missing girls in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Missing because they were aborted as fetuses because they were girls, because they're unwanted and unwelcomed. So, to sisterhood, this is not going to be a sad story, although I deal with interesting challenges. So, you ready? Here we go. To Zeta, Alice, and to the committee, thank you again for your invitation. I am an admirer of your work. Can you go back one? It's going too fast for me. I'm honored by your work. I'm honored by this invitation. Okay, ready. Don't read it. It's too complex. It says everything I just said to you. We'll get our act together. Why do I do this? Because of my father. My father took me at the age of 9. We came to Canada in 1959. And I spoke to I guess English, and I used to help him translate immigrants, 700, 400 new Armenians coming in. I do this because I'm an Armenian, and there but for the grace of God. Every time I go to a Holocaust, every time I go to Kosovo, Rwanda, anywhere where I see tragedy, I am reminded that I am alive because somewhere in my family, they didn't get me. They didn't get my antecedents. So I am alive. I'm aware that ethnic violence and intolerance could have meant the end of my existence. I do this because I'm an Armenian. I do this because I'm an Armenian, and I'm desperately outraged at injustice and human cruelty. It just drives me mad. I can't stand it, couldn't stand it as a child. Սագսեի ինչու։ 3 անգամ 4 անգամ վերջը գսել որ որովհետև էսսի եւ հայրիկն եմ։ Եվ այս ասել անիրավ, ադանք իրավունք չունի սա ասել։ I'm 9 years old and I used to challenge my father on his power and authority. I have power issues. And my power issues are based on abuse of power, which is very often perpetuated of the haves, whether it's monetary, societal, economic, emotional, very often on us women and children. I do this because globally and worldwide, women and children, and in particular older women, I'm 62 and I'm heading there, older women, handicapped children, daughters, are always at the back of the queue, off the bus, off the road, and you're probably being raped or killed or unfed. So I do this because in all cases, women and children suffer injustice the most. It's still a man's world. Davos this year, those of you who know about Davos Economic Summit in Geneva, I've had the pleasure of having been there a few times, and it's a really interesting place. They were very proud. They had 17% women participating globally at Davos. I retired from the board of directors of a corporate insurance company called Green Shield Canada. Some of you have your benefits with Green Shield Canada. It's a not-for-profit, wonderful organization. I was the second woman on the board, the first chair of the finance committee. And I joined the board in '88. And we still don't have corporate women enough in this city. And I finally do this because I need to make a difference. This is existential. I wanted to make a difference. I needed to make a difference. So that's why I do it. So this is my father's clan, and that man with the Homburg was my father, who was the Charleston champion of Istanbul in the 1930s, I want you to know. And an internal migrant, I also want you to know that. And who, my grandmother, the lady standing in between her daughter and her husband, didn't speak Armenian properly, spoke Armenian with a Turkish accent, and became a cook so that her children could go to school. And she cooked the Mkhitaryan Tibrot so that my father, his brother, and my aunt could have an education. My father had to leave school at 16, and yet he was one of the most erudite and informed men in the world, the clan. So, I've been privileged to work with 4 out of the 7 major NGOs globally recognized by the UN, like you are. Absolutely like you are. You are a convention consultative member of the UN body. You have a significant role to play. And you've heard me that I've been the CEO of the YWCA of Canada. And I want to thank you now that your contribution today will go towards the YWCA of Toronto's good works on women's shelter, hospitality, job. So I appreciate that contribution. I work with Oxfams and Red Cross and Red Crescent and Save the Children Canada. So you've heard all that. And I don't know how I did it. I have no idea. I don't know how this journey started, except I started off as a teacher. And in teaching grade 4 in Point St. Charles, those of you who know Montreal, and my kids would fall asleep in the classroom, and I thought, I'm a bad teacher. And then I realized because they were hungry. This is Montreal. We used to call them gray zones. Hungry in Montreal in Canada in 1971. And I thought, there's something wrong with this system if kids are going hungry. I went back to school, I got some degrees, I became a social worker at the Jewish General Hospital in Montreal. In oncology and cancer, I helped negotiate Bill 101 with Parti Québécois, ran Alliance Quebec and things like that. And all of it because I figured out one thing. You could make a difference one-on-one, and it's very important to do. But if you don't change the system, you don't change the power structure, you don't have lasting difference. Right, Councillor Karen? And often we don't do it because it's very hard and challenging work. So I'm a systems girl, I'm a management girl with a passion for change, for making a difference. Thank you. I'm still working. I've worked in over 72 countries. Now I'll tell you some of my favorite places, and I'll tell you very quickly. One of my favorite words in the world is Ouagadougou. Anybody know where it is? Yeah, who said that? How come you know where Ouagadougou is? Well, no, don't go. Well, look. Ouagadougou is the capital of Burkina Faso. Why do I know Burkina Faso? because it is one of the cocoa capitals of the world. Why do I know Burkina Faso? Because they use children's slavery on cocoa farms. Children are migrated and transported down from the Francophone West Africa into Burkina Faso, and they work on cocoa farms. And Save the Children just built 700 schools for girls with American International, U.S. Department of Labor money. And in 4 of the schools, and when we first built them, we forgot to check the local architect, and he left out the bathrooms for the girls. Well, but think about it, right? Girls don't go to school. The architect has only worked on, or contractor has only worked on schools for boys. We didn't think through, hey, what do you mean? So we had to tear them down, explain our embarrassment, and build them. So Ouagadougou is one of my favorite places. I like Mongolia because it has the coldest capital in the world, and Ottawa has the second. So I like Mongolia. I dislike parts of Australia, having worked with the Aboriginal Torres Strait Island Council. The worst bathroom in the world I have ever been to, that I could not use the facilities, my apologies, was in 200 kilometers outside of Alice Springs on a reservation for Aboriginal communities in a hospital in Australia. And I hate parts of Canada. One of the most embarrassing things for me as a Canadian for years was going into Africa and South Africa, either as the YWCA CEO or Save the Children. And this is when the racial legislation was still in place, and being told, you can't speak, who do you think created reservations? You can't tell us what to do in South Africa. Look at your country's track record with Aboriginal communities. And today, I cringe when my colleagues from the world say to me, Oxfam, which is a water specialist, shall we send you some water for that Aboriginal community in the north which doesn't have safe drinking water? This is Canada. I can't stand that. I can't accept it. So, field operations, humanitarians, I can't count how many, but I do know that, for example, during the tsunami, when I was CEO of Save the Children Canada, we lost 22 staff who were being trained for midwifery in Banda Aceh. I spent 72 days ordering body bags because there were not enough body bags globally. And my staff managed the security cordon coming from the capital down to Banda Aceh. Banda Aceh, you might remember, Indonesia, an island, had a civil war going like Sri Lanka did, was about to have a major negotiations for peace. The tsunami hit. So, earthquakes, famines, the list goes on. And if you're Haiti, if you are some countries absolutely disaster prone, you can't get your head up. But there's a big difference. We have disasters in this country too. Based out of policies on water so that there's not enough water, or electricity goes out, or ice storms happen, but our people don't die, our buildings don't crumble. And the difference is, these are man-made disasters of which we're equipped, and we're not in parts of the world when it's an earthquake in Turkey or an earthquake in Armenia, buildings crumble because of corrupt construction. When it's an earthquake in Haiti, well, the mountains just slide down because the mountains have been chopped down because there are no trees, because the trees have been used for fuel. When you fly over the island of Hispaniola, La República Dominicana, and Haiti, a lot of you go there for holidays. The DR is a wonderful place. When you fly over, half of the island is green, verdant, and gorgeous. The other is a brown piece of empty tree development. And when people say to me Great Lakes, I don't think of a wonderful body of water, I think of Rwanda and General Dallaire and Save the Children and Oxfam, and we were the only ones who stayed by him. And I think of staff whose hands were chopped by fellow colleagues because they were Hutu and Tutsi, and then we had to bring them back to work 3 years later. And I think of Kosovo, and I think of going into Kosovo the day the tanks were able to go in, and I could actually understand the language. They were speaking a Turkish. And I still speak the expression gavulce? I speak an infidel Turkish, which is a Turkish stuck at the age of 9. But I could understand it, and I could walk in Kosovo, and except the people would tell me, our mining people would say, Don't go off the sidewalks. They've mined. Don't go off the asphalt. They've mined the wells. Don't go off. So, yeah, I remember those things. So many airports, 72 countries, including Canada. This is my second clan. I showed you the first clan. This is part of my global clan. I think I'm in Bangladesh. I know that I'm sitting next to a wonderful woman, and I have a child in my lap. That's my family. But I'll tell you another story about being a woman. I'm in Sudan, and we are I'm in Senegal, and we're visiting the Maribou. The Maribou is like Archbishop of Canterbury, or our own Archbishop. And we are with what is known as a she-elephant. Does that reference mean anything to you? The first wife of the chief of the village, the most powerful woman. And we're doing programs in HIV/AIDS. And there are 2 white women, she's there, and this is in French, and you start in Senegal doing things like, mes costumes, ça me fait plaisir de parler. So there's an Islamic custom of greetings, there's the French custom of greetings, and then there's the African tribal custom of greeting. So you're greeting for about a half hour. Meanwhile, on the wall, the clock has Mecca on it, and it's chiming. It's very surreal. And this woman who has spent the last 3 days showing us the most amazing things, speaking with such a powerful voice, head down, through the interpreter in her own language says, accept my apologies, Your Eminence, for polluting your presence. Now we all know that, and he knows that she's powerful, but the customary forms. So part of our issue is not just prejudice, not just lack of knowledge, but the customary methods, the tribalism, the customary approaches to societies and how we organize ourselves. So she's also part of my clan. You know about the United Nations? You know that there are 2 real conventions, Convention of Human Rights and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And I've had the privilege of working on both, and they're both incredibly important documents. And you know that also there are judicial treaties. So the most important one is being the International Tribunal at the Court of Justice, known as The Hague. The important thing is that you can vote for the treaty. It doesn't count if you don't sign it. So the US is not a signatory to this treaty, because if you were a signatory, somebody could actually take you to court. Just like we now have signatories we have the Justice Tribunal in former Yugoslavia, Rwanda. Imagine if this had been in existence, what it would have meant for us Armenians. So there's some instruments coming into place. And when people say, remember the Armenians, I say, thank God, remember the Armenians. Because it still is happening, folks. And I'll show you some things later on, but at least there's some international instruments in place. Wonderful importance. Office of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. They are key, and their work is interesting because they help determine, and if you're an official refugee, you have a documentation saying official refugee, you have protection. It's when you're a displaced person without documentation that you're a no man's person. No land, nowhere, don't exist. The Office of Coordination for Humanitarian, these are my lifelong friends. These are the people who coordinate everybody going into disasters. When the tsunami hit, the Canadian government identified 5 agencies that they would match monies to: Save the Children, Doctors Without Borders, the Red Cross, World Vision, CARE, the usual, and Oxfam, 6, the usual clan. Why? Because we do every single humanitarian disaster globally. By the end, for political reasons, there were 27 organizations identified. When I went down to Indonesia, there was a big banner, the Red Crescent Society of Istanbul. It was wonderful. The Saudis had the most elegant tent and the most wonderful. And there were 375 organizations, and we couldn't hire workers fast enough to get buildings up. There wasn't enough room for all of us to work. Well, there's a lot of money in humanitarian disasters. Save the Children Canada received in one day $7 million for the tsunami, in one day. And you can't spend $7 million in a situation where there is no infrastructure. So part of this humanitarian work that I do with Archer, and I've been one of their consultants, is how do we coordinate so that we don't have this influx? We need people not at the disaster, the bodies are dead. We need to bury them so we don't get cholera. And I'm happy to tell you that throughout the 7 countries of the tsunami, there was not one instance of the second wave. We don't worry about the immediate damage. What happened has happened. We rescue, but what we don't want to have happen is diarrhea, cholera, typhoid, outbreaks of man-made disease. The second wave, rape, the second wave. There wasn't a single instance of diarrhea, of cholera deaths in all through the 7 countries of the tsunami region. So ACHA, we're trying to coordinate and we're trying to keep the little ones out, but a lot of this is also very political. You can't go to an Islam country without putting Islamic organizations first. Thailand wouldn't let us in because they did not want us reporting what was happening. They did not want their tourism industry damaged. Also because they had enough of an infrastructure. Last earthquake, Turkey said no thank you. Why? It happened near the border region where their Kurdish population. Often when we go in, we are witnesses to what is going on. Often those countries don't want to let us in. Or they kick us out. When we get kicked out, you got to be knowing that something's about to happen. United Nations Food Program. We get our food and grains and supplies from them. UNRWA, it's the longest standing refugee camp in the world. The Palestinians are 4th generation. Those of you from Lebanon, those of you from that part of the world know about this. And operations for peacekeeping and missions. Peacekeeping operations can only be established by the Security Council. You'll know that right now Russia and China, who are permanent members of the Security Council, have vetoed peacekeeping missions to Syria. It's really interesting. You know, I don't know how many women and children have to die. I don't care about the regime. I am not at all political about Syria. I don't care. People often get the governments they deserve, very frankly. And there's a very interesting study that IBM did, when they were trying to understand globally how to run a business. And the study said the following: your religious, cultural background dictates your trust level. Your trust level dictates your societal structures. Armenians are a culture of low trust because we're a clan and chief-based culture. Sociologically speaking, we each like to be in power, in charge. We have, my apologies. Protestants are a culture of high trust. Quebec, on average, gives 35% less in donations than Protestants, Catholic Francophones. Why? Their trust is in the church historically because the church provided the services. So there's a very interesting trust factor involved. And around the world, most societies are not trust-based. So, operations, peacekeeping, and missions. This is in Costa Rica. And as we were working, BMW, Costa Rica, one of the wealthiest countries in Central America, the alarms would go off on the BMWs because we were working through earthquakes, and we didn't even know. So this is detailed analysis of how to manage the upcoming major earthquakes they were predicting for Costa Rica. And this is with an organization that you might know and love called CUSO. Canadian University Students Overseas, which is now merged with VSO. Okay, this is the Red Cross you want to worry about. The ICRC is the independent body that works for the Swiss government, that is the one who declares emergencies, that is the one who goes and visits prisoners, does inspections, not the Red Cross that you know of in Canada. There are 2 Red Crosses. The ICRC is the independent body, takes no money from any government except the Swiss. And the Swiss, as you know, are not members of the UN, not members of NATO, although they think of joining the EU. And they are the ones who, when they say, this is atrocities, this is serious, they're the ones who can go in, they're the ones that actually send the care packages and so on. UN Children Fund, I'm happy to say that Save the Children Canada created it. That's called UNICEF, and it's our UN partner on the field. And what we do with them, what Save the Children does with them, is first and foremost rescue children. When there's a humanitarian disaster, unaccompanied children, in particular minors, become cash assets to be traded for sexual favors or being sold as orphans for people looking for children. So one of the things we want to do is document the children so that they don't get lost, they don't get picked up. You don't know how many aunties and uncles all of a sudden emerge. and children are very vulnerable. And we work with UNICEF on a database system. We zero in. Oxfam does the water, CARE and World Vision do the food. Doctors Without Borders does the clinic, Save the Children, and UNICEF do the kids. Everybody does the women, everybody does the health, everybody does the food, everybody does the sanitation. It's like a, just do it. WHO, World Health Organization, important body, in particular when there's endemic crises like HIV/AIDS and malaria and dengue fever, diphtheria, dysentery, things which still kill people and children. You're an NGO, we're an NGO, and I've spoken to some of them. And I've just spoken to the Security Council. The last committee is interesting, sorry. Some of you here know about the Counterterrorism Committee. I know Tenny does and I know Nana does. This is important because this often stops us from working. And very often it gets our people killed. Because for the longest of time there was a distinct separation between NGOs and governments, and increasingly countries start to worry that we are reporting and we are agents of our government, and they signal out our people for attack. So some of the worst things I have done in my life is to tell parents that their children are dead. Very often, most aid workers are killed in car accidents because you have not taken your life in hand. You might have driven in parts of the Middle East, but you haven't driven in Africa, you haven't driven in India, you haven't driven in China. These are dangerous places. And inshallahs and mashallahs get you only so far in life. But also, your staff get picked, so I'm very mindful that in Somalia, on a food convoy, Save the Children's staff were signaled out and shot. And you've got to deal with that. Red Cross will carry guns in their food convoys. Save the Children will not. In Haiti, my staff said, look, the looting is very heavy, what do we do? I said, let's get dogs. Because dogs will, keep people at bay. Other NGOs got guns. These are the kind of decisions you make. And also, the other thing this does is when a country is on this list, your insurance rates go up. And if you're running a charity and your insurance rate goes up 700%, overnight your insurance rate in that country shifts. It's costly. So I want to spend some time on this. Rights, human rights. I'm of the school that human rights are inalienable, but they are accompanied by responsibility. You don't just have rights, you have responsibility. Citizenship, societal engagement, or engagement in your family means you can't just take, you are not just owed, you must share and you must contribute. You have the right to personal security, and I put that first. That means that if the policeman stops you, you can't be afraid of the local policeman. Well, around the world that's not the case. You have the right for protection from your governing bodies. Whether it's the Klan, whether it's Mayor Ford, I know that I have the right to have equal protection as anybody else. I have the right to protection, not only of myself, my physical being, but by my assets. Right to protection. I have the right for basic needs, sanitation, food, healthcare, education, and those are basic needs. And I actually could put education before healthcare because every time you educate a woman, for every year of scolarity, for every year, the lifespan expands by 4, her family's quality of life expands by 4. For every year she delays childbirth, the healthier the child, and that's education. So if we want healthier children, healthier women, we would put emphasis on health education before health. The right to documentation. I've spoken to this before. Without papers, you are nothing. Many countries will not give you a birth certificate if you're a girl. You have to wait. Many countries will not give you a passport if you're a girl. The boy can get a passport, the girl goes on the father's passport, or the mother's, or the wife can't get papers. So think about it. What we take for granted, here I'm going to argue that I do not want a photo ID in Canada. There I'm arguing, where's your citizenship and papers? My father chose to migrate to Canada because it gave citizenship within 5 years. It gave it. You could earn it, you could keep it. He wanted papers. Documentation. And services and participation. That's the right to, for example, be a member of a union, or the right to have water come without having to pay bribes for, pipes in your community. Right to go to a nurse. to get an injection, not to go to the back of the line. The right to sustainable livelihood. You notice it doesn't say you have a right to a job. Nobody has a right to a job. You work that. You earn that. The state doesn't owe you jobs. But you have a right to a sustainable livelihood, however you earn it. Barter, trade, working your land. And you have a right to keep what you earn. Think about it. And then you have a right to a voice. Oh, and as women, you have iper high. Asin shkaravo pamane. Tzaim. Gernal chosi. Tzaimnet imatzvi. The right to be heard. The right to say what you think without fear of persecution, murder, assassination, displacement, debarment. Think of those grandmothers in the square in Argentina with the white scarves. The right to a voice. Think of the collective voice in this room and the power of the Armenian voice. Think about it and rejoice in it, because the right to a voice is one of the most fundamental freedoms. If nobody hears you, they may see you, but they don't have to acknowledge you. And often they don't even want to see you because they either burn your face or cover your face, but if you have a voice. So my wonderful she-elephant in Senegal had no voice. She had power, but she could not speak to authority with her own voice. She had to apologize for her voice. So, right to a voice. It's almost coming to an end because I'm sure we're all getting hungry. My boys, my gang of NATO, we flew into Kosovo together. You'll notice that I'm much younger and my hair is longer. So, Canadian guys, and if you ever fly in troop transport planes, don't. Because there's no padding. You sit along the lines. Have you been? You know, and there's people over there probably who have. There's no padding. You sit like this. There's no real air conditioning, and there's no music. There's no TV. It's not fun, and they tell the ugliest and most awful jokes going in the world. And I am a pacifist. I think war kills women and children, but I am proud to support men and women who serve, dedicated to their countries, who serve to protect, not to murder, not to kill. So I'm proud of these guys. You won't be able to see this, but you see where the darks are? That's where the state is fragile. That's where it's vulnerable. You notice Canada is white, so we're safe. We're good. Next. I want you to notice one thing here. The top blue you can see, it peaked. Now it's going to go up again. That is ethnic wars. That is racial ethnic conflict. The bottom line is armed military conflict like World Wars, World War II. But look what's happening to ethnic armed conflict. And it's going to go up again because this ends in 2010. Global trends in armed conflict where people are going to war is down. Skirmishes is up. So we have less global wars, more little, very hard to police, very hard to reach. You don't know. Do you go to the earthquake in Pakistan, or do you go to Somalia, or do you go to Sudan? You have to make triage searches. You make choices, and people give. People did not give to the Pakistani earthquake. Pakistan, unfortunately, doesn't have a good image in Canada for whatever reason. People gave to Haiti. People gave to the tsunami. So people, you go. You can't always, and you worry. And then there's Canadian international development policy, which we will not go into. I just wanted to show this, not because I'm singling that culture out, but because a lot of our people come from in those parts of the world. We're a nation from the Middle East. So we're still in part of the world. It's gone down. It's going to go back up again. And it's cyclical. So, in Sri Lanka, a week after the tsunami, and I'm doing one of my favorite things, holding a child, so there we go. So, you know what I'm talking about. There's a decrease in international refugees and an increase in internal displacement, which means that you are a refugee in your own country. There are 61 countries right now, as of February 29, 2012, at war. And 313 guerrillas, separatists, all of those things happening. I thought I'd just give you a quick overview. Africa, Algeria, Libya, Nigeria, and Puntland. which is a very nice little place. Somalia, Asia. I'd want to bring your attention to Europe. We know one place there really well and deeply. Conflict is still armed. We are very not far apart from each other. The space is very limited. People are still armed and people are still dying. And that's Nagorno-Karabakh. Iraq, Israel, Syria, and so on. Colombia, which has the longest standing internal war. 57% of the population of Colombia is internally displaced. And Mexico. Not the terrorism on tourists. Aboriginal wars over water and land rights in Mexico. This is another one of my places. This is in Dhaka, Bangladesh. It is a 16th century Armenian church. The gentleman to my right, Haye, Digina Portuguese, Hayeren Ghosi. Yegeretsin, when you walk in, is in the oldest part of Dhaka. And you walk through, there's nothing, right? And then there's this huge wall, and you walk through Lagam sewer, open sewer line. The part of the town is known in Bangla as Hai. Hai is Armenian for Armenian. And the land was donated by a wonderful Armenian woman in many years ago, ages ago. The church has a cemetery in it before you walk to the church. And the church is like any old Armenian church anywhere in the world. And it's still an active church. And it's under the Diocese of Sydney, Australia. And in the courtyard, all the lead from the cemetery, from the burial plots has been removed because they used it for bullets during the Bangladeshi War of Independence. But reading the burials is reading the history of Tapur Hai Ask, our diaspora. This Bangladesh was created and developed by Armenians from the East India Jute Company. We were the creators of part of Bangladesh, and they remember us very fondly in Bangladesh. We helped develop the jute business, hemp business, and during the Armenian earthquake, the biggest help to us was the government of India, because we had huge properties in Calcutta, hospitals and churches, and we could negotiate trading our wounded energy. We got drugs and medicine, and we could do an exchange. And the government of India, because we also helped create, through the Dutch East India Company, the textile industry in that part of the world. And Sebastopol, Constantinople, Alexandria. It's like a journey of walking through Armenia. I went there with an English friend, an Oxfam friend, and I introduced her, Susie Smith, and may she rest in peace. She was the head of, she was the deputy director of Oxfam GB. I introduced him, and he said to her, I can't shake your hand. I'm very fond of you, but you have Armenian blood in your hands. The British government has Armenian genocide blood in your hands. She turned to me and I said, well, Susie, welcome. Welcome to long memories. Welcome to a culture that is a lot older than yours, and welcome to a culture that doesn't forgive or forget, but just doesn't get even. Our way of getting even is this, today. Our survival, our achievement, our accomplishments, our togetherness. And every time to go to a new country, when we've done this, I don't know how many times in our life, but every time we go to a new country, to become good, accomplished, achieving citizens. And Canada is very blessed to have us. We're blessed to be here, but Canada is blessed to have us. It doesn't mean to say we're punching it, So this wonderful man, we send each other Christmas cards, and this church is a very spiritual place. It's a bit of soil. There's another one in Singapore, and all over the world. And one of my habits was, wherever I went, I looked for Armenians. And one of my most precious moments was in Delhi, trying to catch a plane to go to Dhaka, looking at 2 o'clock in the morning, looking at the window, and seeing letters that looked on an airplane that looked Russian. And it was my first time seeing an Armenian airplane, Air Armenia. I burst into tears, because I have never in my life, except for a week and a half in Nagorno and in Hayastan, been in a country where the police is like me and so is the prostitute. I have never been anywhere where I'm not the Odar. And it was an amazing feeling. Uncomfortable, but amazing. Just overwhelming and overpowering. And it started in that 2 o'clock in the morning, looking out the window in Delhi and seeing this. I mean, just, you know. Okay. Together. We, women, mothers, daughters, sisters, the list is endless. Grandmothers, granddaughters, yaya clubs and social clubs and best friends and not so friends. But together, we're the caretakers of the world. We are the caretakers of the world. We till the most agricultural land, own the least land. We are the caretakers of the world. We can and do change the world every day in many, many ways. And I've met so many of your daughters here. I chose not to have a family. My family is global. Those of you who know me well know that I have a wonderful niece and a nephew, and my sister has been brilliant in letting me share them. And I'm now a great aunt, Emma Alice Kavityan Guthrie. And so we, in many ways, change the world. And the best and most of all is healthy parenting, non-abusive parenting, cherishing our children, and then cherishing our community, which is what you do, Seta, and your committee, and the Global and ARS does, and so many of you do. You matter to the world. It deeply matters what you think, so don't ever stop thinking. It matters how you feel, because it doesn't go think to action. The feelings are important. And then, boy, does it matter what you do. Hazarakam shnoragalam iskabes shat badit, iskabes shat harketzikinzi. I'm deeply honored, and thank you very much.
We would like now for Ms. Karakas to kindly answer a few of the questions from the crowd.
Do we have time? Yes. Okay. Oh, wonderful. Cue cards coming up. Great. I'm going to make up the answers. You know that, right? Let me know if they're up. I'm so sorry that you're still having to wait for lunch. It's not my fault. Thank you, Lena Johnny. First question. Oh, God. What advice, okay, folks, what advice would you give young women? I think I have two. Cherish yourself and be true to yourself. Get an education, but don't count on the education. Count on who you are, your character. Proust said, character is destiny. Be honorable. And as my father would say, be honorable. So, young women, I'm just so proud of you anyway. Look at all of you. And don't forget how come you're enjoying so many rights, because of the work of a lot of the women in this room before you. Thank you. I'm going to sit down. One question is more than enough. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to invite Mrs. Seta Kasabian, Chairwoman of this year's ARS International Women's Day Committee, to present Ms. Rita Karakas with a token of our appreciation.
We were complimenting each other throughout this work, and she's such a pleasure. pleasure to work with. I could tell her anything, and we were getting along famously. So let me start with my small speech. Awesome?
Sister.
So let's say, dear Ms. Karakas, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence, for your inspiring speech, and congratulations on your impressive achievements. The Armenian Relief Society, having embarked on its second century of charitable work, whether it's locally, in our ancestral home Armenia, or throughout the world, it always is need for new ideas, the unwavering commitment of its members to continue with its sacred mission. On this, our third International Women's Day celebration, the committee would like to present you with a memento in hopes that you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed having you as our guest speaker, and hopefully as a friend.
You have me as a friend? One thing, having Alice on the committee, well, it's also a generational thing. Sarah in the committee, making sure that the next generation knows how to do and contribute, so bravo.
Exactly, that's the idea. I would like to acknowledge the Minister's message and thank Councillor Carroll for taking the time to be with us today. For everyone present, a big thank you for your continued support and encouragement. A word of thanks to the committee members for their enthusiasm and dedication in organizing this celebration. Together, we will make a difference. We will replace despair with hope. Thank you.
And finally, we would like to now invite Mrs. Zephia Dorna, chairwoman of the ARS Roubina chapter, to present Mrs. Karakas with a token of their appreciation.
Thank you, Rita. Ms. Karakas, we're very honored. She's very humble, very modest. She keeps saying that what she did is not really, great, but look what she did. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. And this is, as a token of appreciation, you know that ARS, Armenian Relief Society, has already 100 years of dedicated service, and this is a book published on the occasion of the 100 years of service. This is very new. I guess you're one of the first to be seeing this book, actually. It's not been circulated yet. So here it is.
I want to say Vatskanit Kadar, Amenut. It just means, Tsekanit Kalar, Vatskanit Kadar. These are wonderful Armenian expressions, green thumbs and working hard. But I think like a lot of Armenians, I've got a split personality. Es Rita Karakasyan Zanazan. Rita Karakasyan, and I practice as Rita S. Karakas. So that's why you get things done, because you've got a split personality. Well, there's two of them.
Այժմ դեղի պիտի ունենա իր տեսագին մեջ եզակի նորացևության ցուցադրությունը։ Այս ցուցադրությունը քոհարեղենի ցուցահանդեսը լալեն ավելի պիտի ցոլացնե դարբեր ասպարեզներու մեջ իրենց լիարժեք թիրքը գրաված եւ իրենց անկախ ինքնությունը գերդած հայ գիներու դիբարը։ Անոնցմե յուրաքանչյուրը թերագադարություն եւ ներդրում ունի հայկական հասարակական կյանքի մեջ, ինչպես նաեւ Կանադայի աշխատուժի դարբեր բնակավարները ներս։ Հոս հանձնախմբիս կողմէ մասնավոր շնորհակալություն կհայտնեմ Արմին Մարգիրոսին իր անսագարտ օժանդակության եւ օգնության համար։ Ներկայացվելիք ցուցահանդեսը կբարգինք իր մասնակիտական մտահղացումին։ Նաթալի Գոքշենյան պիտի վարե այս հաջելի ցուցադրությունը։
Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to draw your attention to our very special presentation, Style and Substance, showcasing the achievements of inspirational women within our community while also highlighting the latest trends in spring fashion accessories. We would like to extend a very special thank you to Armin Magdirosyan of Mazon Designs for his incredible vision and immense hard work. I would also like to introduce you to the lovely Natalie Gokshenyan, who will present our models and their stories to you. Natalie is an accomplished communicator and has worked as a corporate spokesperson for some of Canada's largest brands, including HBC, Winners, and TD Bank. A journalism graduate of Ryerson University, Natalie started her career as a freelancer for the Toronto Star, eventually moving into public relations. Natalie regularly appeared as an expert in the retail industry on national outlets such as Global News. Natalie currently leads a team of professionals who protect the reputation of one of Canada's largest banks. Welcome, Natalie.
Today's show will be highlighting some very inspirational young women from our community. These women are vibrant overachievers who are being celebrated in honor of International Women's Day today. They will be wearing their own fashions while showcasing shoes from Town Shoes. I've got my own pair that they've given me here. Handbags from High Fashion Handbags, which you know are sold at Town Shoes, Capizio, Browns, and many other high fashion boutiques. In addition, sunglasses from Eyes on Church. This is the Pucci collection, which you're about to see. And modeling the spring 2012 collection of Stella and Dot jewelry that is actually also being sold outside here today. And you can approach Tina Markariana-Quinta, who will be selling this, because this boutique style jewelry is only available through in-home trunk shows, and today obviously. So our first group of inspirational young women will be modeling bright hues inspired by sun-drenched colors of the Mediterranean coast, turquoises, corals, bright pops of color to get us out of our winter blahs. Our first model will be Rosalie Papissian. In grade 10, after taking her first accounting class, she knew she wanted to be a chartered accountant. After graduating from York University, she started working in an accounting firm and obtained her chartered accountant designation in 2008. Oh, I love the headband too. It's sunglasses, and look at that purse. It's a great work purse. Absolutely. Currently, Rosaline is a tax manager at Deloitte & Touche, specializing in tax planning, estate planning, and personal and corporate compliance. So Rosaline, thank you. I realize it's tax season. You've come out today to celebrate with us. During last year's International Women's Day fashion show, Rosaline was inspired to continue the tradition of organizing charity fashion shows at the Armenian Community Center. Her goal is to unite the young men and women of the Armenian community in a fun and fashion-savvy atmosphere, as well as raise funds for the ARS Armenian Private School and for the charity Free the Children. Rosaline credits her accomplishments on her upbringing at home, where she was taught with hard work, anything is achievable. Today, Rosaline is sporting some bright pops of accessories, but not nearly as bright as her personality. Those of you who know Rosaline know she's a go-getter. In fact, we credit her for the hairdressing of the rest of the models here today, because Rosaline is the type of person who rolls her arms up and says, "I can can do the hair too. So a woman of many talents. Congratulations, Roubina. Our next model is Cynthia Yerani Kasabian. Cynthia obtained a commerce degree from McGill University in Montreal, majoring in finance and economics. After graduation, she worked for a short time at Forrester's Insurance Company until settling on her career as a stockbroker. She currently works at the brokerage firm Paulett & Co. that specializes in the trading of commodities and mining ventures. There, she has progressed from research associate to a trader and is now focusing on retail and institutional equity sales. Now, I was sitting at Yerani's table and she told me a secret. She's about to do a big job, let's call it a jump, because I know we can't call it what it is yet. So next week she's moving on to bigger and better things. Yerani, we wish you all the best at my competitor bank. Cynthia has always been active. While at Havergal College, she enjoyed playing basketball, volleyball, baseball, and soccer. She recently added golf to her interests. This year, she was chosen to chair the Women's Golf Tournament for Women in Capital Markets, which is phenomenal because we need to get out there where, in groups where typically men are, golf is a men's sport. So good for you, Cynthia, for going into the golf world. I wish you the best of luck. This is the perfect song to introduce Arda Zakarian. Arda Zakarian is familiar to many of you, as she has presented Armenian music videos, conducted interviews, and covered events for Norhai Horizon television programs since 2002. A graduate and former teacher of ARS Armenian Private School, she is active in the Armenian community. Arda is a member of the Hamaskain folk dance group and has written and directed in Armenian for Hamaskain Junior Theater and ARS Summer Camp. After graduating from York University with a Bachelor of Fine Arts and then Queen's University with a Bachelor of Education, she completed postgraduate studies at Humber College in Journalism and Broadcasting. She won the College Media Award for the Best Radio and Television Interview in North America. Congratulations, Arda. Arda currently works for the CBC Windsor as a video journalist, weather forecaster, researcher, and interviewer. Her TV and radio segments have gone nationwide all the way to CNN. Arda says her favorite icon is Oprah Winfrey, but her role model is her mom. She's my role model too, Arda. She says her mom's charisma, wit, and incredible funniness. I mean, you can't stop and listen to Arda Zakarian speak. And I have to say, the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. So, Arda, you're pretty much speaking about yourself too. Congratulations on your many achievements. Our next model is Natalie Farah. An alumni of ARS Armenian Private School, class of 1999, Natalie completed her honors Bachelor of Science degree in 2007. She is currently in her final year of the PhD program at the University of Toronto, Department of Molecular Genetics. For her research thesis, Natalie devised a novel method to study autism spectrum disorder using stem cells at the Hospital for Sick Children. She's had the privilege to speak about her research globally, having presented her work to audiences in the United States, Italy, and New Zealand. I also have the great fortune of being Facebook friends with Natalie Farah, and I'm envious because every single time I log on, she's just come back from some glamorous holiday. And where was it this time, Natalie? Costa Rica? Costa Rica. So traveling is among her many, many wonderful things to do when she's not busy working, spending time with family and friends, volunteering, and doing yoga. Congratulations, Natalie. when she was 5 years old, Roubina started singing with the junior choir at St. Mary's Armenian Church. Singing is still a major part of her life. Do you want to take the stage? No? Okay. Taking vocal lessons at the Arcadia Academy of Music. Her mezzo-soprano vocal range allows her to specialize in singing opera arias as well as jazz and big band. She frequently participates in competitions, most recently in the Maple Singing Festival in Bonn. Other than singing, Roubina is a freelance graphic designer. She graduated from the graphic design program at Seneca at York and has now returned to school to obtain a second degree in creative advertising and marketing. Roubina is president of the Armenian Christian Education Committee, and a member of ARFYOC. But most importantly, I'm very happy to announce that she will be receiving the Youth Volunteer Services Award sponsored by the Government of Ontario, Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration on March 26th. Congratulations! Grouping of models you just saw were sporting the metallic look, which is also very, very big this season. This is the rock glam look, the Rihanna look, if we want to call it. And our next model coming up is also part of that look, Huri Shitilian. And I have to ask Huri to go very, very slowly on her walk because there are a ton of accomplishments we have to go through right now. Huri is a graduate of the ARS Armenian Private School class of 1997. She is currently a corporate lawyer at Norton Rose, Canada. She obtained her law degree from the University of Western Ontario. Prior to that, her educational background includes an honors Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Toronto and a master's degree in organizational psychology from Columbia University in New York, specializing in conflict resolution and mediation. Huri enjoys doing volunteer work. While at U of T, she spearheaded a campaign to bring a Sudanese refugee to Canada for her studies. While in New York, Huri volunteered her time to help underprivileged children in Harlem with math and reading. She's also volunteered with Pro Bono Students Canada, undertaking several legal projects for nonprofit organizations. Huri, I can go on, but I'd hate to hog the stage. Congratulations on your many accomplishments. Our next model is Talar Belerian. And I'm going to do air quotes here, but Talar Belerian is my sister. And I say this because for years in the community, people mistook me for her older sister, and vice versa, although she's got an incredible older sister, Maral, but it's a privilege, Talar, to be associated with you. Talar completed a Bachelor of Arts degree majoring in political science at McGill University. Talar then attended Osgood Hall Law School, where she obtained a graduate degree in law. Talar currently works as an associate at McLean & Kerr and practices civil and commercial litigation. She is also a regular contributor to the Canadian Business Journal. Other noteworthy accomplishments include participating in the Canadian Youth Mission to Armenia and serving as VP of the Armenian Students Association at York. Most recently, Talar ran the Nike Women's Marathon in 2008 and raised close to $5,000 for Leukemia and the Lymphoma Society. Congratulations, Talar. This next grouping of girls, women I should say, overachievers, will be modeling ethnic and artisanal fashions. So these are handiwork, ethnic-inspired pieces from Egypt, from Morocco, kind of like a bohemian chic look. Our first model is Talin Mushian. Talin Mushian is a busy young mother of 2 children. A proud graduate of ARS Armenian Private School, Talin went on to complete her post-secondary degrees at the University of Toronto and University of Calgary. Talin discovered her love of teaching during her graduate studies and has spent the last 13 years as an educator. She is currently a professor at Seneca College, where she teaches various science courses. But she's also very passionate about volunteer work. During the past 8 months, she's dedicated her time to help organize a charity event for the Karim Hatunian Leukemia Research Fund at the Princess Margaret Hospital, and this is my special plug of the evening. She's here to raise funds and is still raising funds for the ARS Armenian Private School Telethon. She's got pledge cards in her purse, so if you haven't yet donated, please do so today. By the way, you have the loudest applause, so I'm hoping all those people have already donated. Tali loves reading novels, working out, and watching movies, but alas has no time to do any of those things. Her role models are super moms who juggle careers, cooking, cleaning, laundry, grocery shopping, ironing, making lunches, and Tali, I think you've described every woman in this room. Congratulations, Tali. Our next model is Tallin Sarkisian, who's carrying my favorite purse. Love that bag too. Tallin Sarkisian completed her honors Bachelor of Science degree in Cell and Molecular Biology at the University of Toronto, followed by a Master of Science degree from the Institute of Medical Science. Tallin has worked at various research institutions, including the Oncology Department at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center and Princess Margaret Hospital, as well as the Rheumatology Department at the Hospital for Sick Kids. She currently works in the pharmaceutical industry and obtained her executive MBA recently from the University of Western Ontario to help further enhance her management and leadership skills. I have had the pleasure of being witness to her incredible piano skills as well. Tallin is an accomplished pianist who completed her ARCT certificate in piano performance from the Toronto Conservatory of Music. She now has a 2.5-year-old son who keeps her very busy, although she still makes time to travel, exercise, read, and spend time with family and friends. Thank you, Tallin. I just have to say before our next model comes on, we asked all of the girls, who was your inspiration? And not one of them said anybody except their mother. And I just have to give a shout out, as amazing as these women are right here, I have to give a shout out because I know the biggest influence my mom has played in my life. So a big thank you to the moms who are in this room, or those who are with us in spirit of these girls right here, because it takes a good mom to raise girls like this, so congratulations to you. Our next model is Huri Yeryazarian. Huri began her career as an engineer after completing an honors Bachelor of Applied Science degree in electrical engineering from the University of Waterloo. Huri has had diverse work experiences, so I hope I get all of these right. She's been employed at Rex Power Magnetics as an engineering assistant, Sick Kids Hospital as a facilities assistant, Smith & Anderson as a project engineer, and the Toronto Transit Commission as an electrical and power design engineer. Hudig is currently registered as an engineering intern trainer with Professional Engineers Ontario. And it makes her very proud to be part of the first graduating class of ARS's high school. And she carries that to this day by giving back to her community. I have to commend Hudig because she just came off a full-time volunteer position with the Harut Manukyan campaign for TDSP Board of Trustees. So she was organizing tasks, organizing the volunteers, a mammoth undertaking, and clearly, Hudig, you were part of a winning team. So congrats. Our next model is Natasha Karabian. And we're lucky this event is being hosted the first week of March because Natasha is about to take off on an exciting journey to Dubai to visit her her sister who's a corporate lawyer in Dubai, so clearly success runs in the family. From a young age, Natasha Karabian has been captivated by stories. By the end of high school, she knew she wanted to be a writer, and this led Natasha to my alma mater, Ryerson University, where she learned all aspects of television, radio, newspaper, and magazine journalism. She's written for many magazines, worked on television sets, but her true passion is creative writing. Although she works full-time for the family business, in fact, she has just launched an online service for her family business, she writes every single day. Natasha is very excited to be nearing completion of her first novel. Natasha hopes she can return the gifts great stories gave to her and enable her to travel, learn, and imagine the impossible. Congratulations, Natasha, and bon voyage. And last, but definitely not least, is Sevan Chachafyan. A chartered accountant for 15 years, Sevan is currently the controller and chief financial officer of MD Precision, a product development company in the medical industry. She plays an integral role in the daily management and financial planning of this rapidly growing high-tech company. After graduating from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor of Commerce degree, Sevan worked in public accounting for 6 years at PricewaterhouseCoopers, specializing in offshore and hedge funds. She took a temporary break from her management position in the firm to start a family. Sevan currently has 3 kids between the ages of 2 and 11, all of whom attend the ARS Armenian private school. As an alumni herself, Sevan served on the school's board for 5 years as treasurer, and she currently volunteers her time and expertise to the school's fundraising activities. Sevan loves to travel, practice yoga, and loves to read specifically on topics of self-enlightenment and spiritual growth. Sevan and I were talking because she just finished reading the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which is an incredible book about finding one's self-destiny. And I have to say, I think Sevan's clearly on her way to finding her self-destiny. And that book is translated into 67 languages. I say you and I get together and translate to Armenian. What do you say? Sounds good. Congratulations, Sevan. A very special thank you to all of you for being our women of substance and style. Congratulations. A special thank you also to Amin Matros